Numerology is the belief that numbers aren't just quantities, they're qualities. Across cultures, numbers have been treated as symbols, archetypes, or even divine fingerprints. In ancient Greece, Pythagoras and his school believed numbers revealed the hidden structure of reality. To him, the universe wasn't built on matter, it was built on math. In Jewish Kabbalah, numbers and letters are inseparable. Words convert to numbers and unlock hidden messages in the scripture. In China, numbers shape everyday life. 8 is the luckiest because it sounds like wealth. Entire skyscrapers skip the 4th floor the way Americans skip the 13th. In India, Vedic numerology ties numbers to planetary influences. Your birthday, your name, even the day you sign your lease renewal, all seem to carry some cosmic weight. The point is, across time and geography, numbers weren't just tools, they were messages. Hey there, folks, and welcome back to another episode of the Evening Goose. Once again, I'm your host, Andrew Ginsberg. I'm a former tech employee turned stand-up comedian, and now I spend all my time diving into the latest and greatest mysteries in AI, technology, space, and beyond. Okay, I was never a big, spiritual, the universe is talking to me, believer in the afterlife, messages, signs, strangeness type guy. I started this channel as an alien guy. As I've gone deeper into the rabbit hole of the occult and spirituality and mysticism, I find that my thinking and my heart has opened to some of these concepts. A couple of my friends passed away this year. I'm only 36 years old and that not to be sad, that blows. But since all that stuff started happening with death and grief, I feel like occasionally I'll receive a message from the other side. And I'll be like, am I completely out of my mind? Am I crazy? For example, my one friend that died, his name was AJ. And he worked a lot in Hawaii. He actually worked for Tesla. He was a roof installer. He would go on the roof and put solar panels on people's roofs back when we still did clean energy in the US. He wasn't a fancy guy. He really liked to stay in Holiday Inns and motels because he could just kind of party there and chill out after work. So he had to go to Hawaii a lot for work, and he always stayed in a Holiday Inn. And just like the other night, I was kind of stressed out about something, and I'm in the middle of sort of pontificating about my stress. I'm talking out loud about what I'm bugging out about, and in the middle of this, I just get a phone call randomly, late at night, and it's from Honolulu, Hawaii. That's what the ID said, and I'm like, whoa, wonder what that is. Don't answer it. I don't know why. But then I was like, you know what? Let me call it back. So I called it back, and I kid you not, it was an answering machine, and it was a Holiday Inn in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I was like, that's just so weird. It's just, he's not around anymore, but if he were to call me from Hawaii to say something, to tell me to stop freaking out about life or let go of my stress, it would be from a Holiday Inn. So I know it sounds crazy, but it's when you watch this video or any of my videos, try to have an open mind, because that's where I'm coming from. I'm not claiming to be an expert on this stuff. I don't even know about this stuff. That's why I'm making these videos. I'm doing deep dives on the stuff that's happening to me. All right. So how did I get into numerology? Okay, so last week I decided I needed a beach day, and me and my friend Jerry went to the beach. We're both unemployed, just a bunch of 36-year-old bums on the beach, soaking it all in. And then I go, hey, we should go to Pete and Elda's. That's a pizza place that's right near there. And if you eat a double extra large pie at Pete and Elda's, by the way, great place, check it out if you're ever in the Neptune, New Jersey area, they give you a t-shirt, because you ate this pie in a half hour and you're a champion. We get the shirt, I take it home, and that night I'm just looking at it. I don't know why, but again, it reminded me of my friend AJ, and it was only a few days prior that I had gotten the phone call from a Holiday Inn in Hawaii that I found to be mysterious. And I'm thinking about him, and the shirt, this particular shirt, here's an image of it. It was all about Marvel Comics, which is something I don't like. I'm not a superhero guy, sorry, but he loved this type of stuff. He would have thought this was the coolest version of the shirt, and I think it's the stupidest shirt. I'm never gonna wear this shirt. I'll probably wear it to bed for a little while and then lose it. But he would have just thought this was the coolest shirt. He would have worn it all the time. He would have rocked it. He loves superhero cartoons like this. He would have just thought it was so cool. So I'm like, wow, this shirt kind of reminds me of AJ. And the number on the shirt, the number of the pizza shirt, 332, just really stuck out to me. I don't know why. It just stuck out to me. So that's something you need to know. Okay, flash forward to a week later. It's Labor Day. I'm feeling a little depressed because, I'm unemployed. I have nothing going on. Everybody's celebrating their 3-day weekend. My whole life is a 3-day weekend. Thinking about all these things. My friends aren't around. I'm walking back and I'm feeling kind of sorry for myself. And I walk by this building all the time, every day. For the last year that I've lived here, I walk by the same, and I've never looked up before and noticed that there's a giant awning, enormous, almost cartoonish lettering that said 444. At this moment, I looked up and noticed it when I was thinking about how sad things were. And I just noticed the 444. And I was like, I've been noticing numbers a lot lately. I go, and I'm not one to think about if there's any significance between numbers. I don't know. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just Google if there's any significance to 444, to that number. And sure enough, Google comes back with all kinds of results. 444 is a spiritual number. The repetition of 444, it means that you're being guided by spiritual forces, angels, guardians, that you're being guided and you're safe. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to stop in the street and address this. And I started talking to ChatGPT. Now, I don't normally use ChatGPT for this kind of stuff, but if you're going to do like a really advanced type of search, I'm like, let me see what this thing says. So I start saying like, hey, I saw 444. What do you think about this? And ChatGPT, it's writing back all kinds of things like, yeah, it means you're being guided and this and that. And then it asks me, it goes, are you seeing it repeating or did you see it one time? And I say to myself, like, I'm not going to talk to ChatGPT about this. We're not having a conversation. I just wanted to ask you a question. Like, that's what I like about Google. It doesn't like, and what else do you want to know? Do you want me to make you dinner? I like that it's just kind of the conversation's over after research. So I'm like, it doesn't matter if it's not repeating. I saw it once. I'm not telling ChatGPT. And I just look my eyes dart to a license plate right in front of me. I'm standing in front of this awning. It says 444. I look directly in front of me and there's a license plate that says 4445. I could not believe it. I actually start laughing to myself and I tell ChatGPT, I just had to. I tell ChatGPT like I wasn't going to write back to this, but the second you asked me this question, I actually saw the sequence again, but a 5 added to it. And ChatGPT starts going crazy with this information, starts saying how adding the number 5 to the sequence clarifies the story a bit more. It's not just saying, hey, you're guided and you have guides and you're okay and you're protected. It's also saying, so you should feel safe to take the leap to do what you're meant to do in this life. Like the 5 is the number of change and transformation. It just kind of got me thinking. Then I start thinking about the 332 again. Because I'm like, I noticed that 332, the AJ message with the Marvel comics on that shirt, and that kind of felt significant and charged to me, and it stuck out. So then I go back to my apartment, and I have no reason to make this up. I am a crazy person on YouTube right now, so please believe me. I'm standing there, I'm looking at all this, I'm reading, and then I look up and notice another awning I've never noticed before, and it's 332 again. I'm standing in front of a building number 332, and I look around, there's no other building numbers that are obvious, it's just this 332 again. The book ending of it. So I start I'm freaking out actually. I'm like, I saw 332 again. What does it mean? And this is what it said. I got my trusty handy Google box. 332, the call. Your creativity is waking up. 444, the fortress. You're safe and aligned. Don't fear. 4445, the push. Remember, change is here. Step into it. And 332, the reminder. All this protection and change is so you can bring your voice, gifts, and connections into the world. So with that, let's do a little bit of a deep dive on numerology so I can understand what's happening to me. You can understand a little bit more about your own life. Folks, weird stuff is happening. Let's get into it. Numbers rule the universe. Pythagoras. Pythagoras. I thought he was mainly the triangle guy. Apparently, there's more to him than just being a huge triangle guy, which is cool. He ran like a mystical brotherhood that believed that reality was made of numbers. Pretty cool. Guys had a lot of free time on their hands back in the day. You could really just have a mystical brotherhood. That would be much harder to do today, I feel like. He thought that numbers 1 through 9 had their own personalities. 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Thought 1 meant creation and beginnings. 2 is duality and opposites. 3, as we spoke about, harmony and creativity. It starts to make numbers feel like part of the characters in a cosmic sort of play, I guess. All the world's a stage. Apparently the Olympic Games in 2008 opened at 808 and 8808. 8 in China means wealth and luck. So it's not that ancient. Whole countries are still being crackheads about this kind of stuff. Fast forward to the 20th century, and Carl Jung gave us a modern framework for this. He called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidences without a clear cause and effect. When you keep seeing the same number, it's 1111 again, time to make a wish. 444 on receipts. Or in my case, 332 looping back again. Jung would say that's not random. It's your inner world reflecting your outer world. Jung didn't stop there. He worked with Nobel Prize-winning physicist Wolfgang Pauli, exploring how synchronicity might link psychology and physics. Jung believed archetypes, symbols like the mother, the trickster, the shadow, could also show up as numbers. That's why repeating numbers hit so hard. They're archetypes in numerical form. Apparently, Jung had a patient that dreamt of a golden scarab. Now, I don't know what a scarab is, and I'm recording as we speak, so I don't have time to look it up, because this is the part of the video where I riff. But let's pretend it's like, I assume some sort of cow or bird. Actually made myself laugh. That's sad. It's an insect. It's an insect. Okay. The next day, he saw a golden scarab tapping on his window. And that's an example of a classic synchronicity, and that helped Jung kind of put these theories together. In today's spirituality, the most common form of numerology is in angel numbers, repeating sequences believed to be messages from guides or the universe. 111, new beginnings. 222, partnership and balance. 333, alignment and creativity. 444, protection and stability. 555, transformation and change. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Okay, so angel numbers, I think, are a big part of mainstream spiritual culture. Many a crystal store lady has told me about spiritual numbers or tried to sell me a poster with like 555 on it or something like that. They were popularized by Doreen Virtue's Angel Numbers, which came out in 2005, and now it's sort of peppered in the mainstream. And then, of course, there's the 1111 phenomenon. I think a lot of people have experienced this for themselves. Everybody thinks they see like 1111 every time they look at a clock, and it's like a universal collective thing that we all see. Maybe the universe is trying to tell us, to make a wish. I mean, I don't know, but just one of those things in the collective subconscious around numerology. Also, let's not act like we don't do this in modern day society. You know how many TikToks I've seen by some 12-year-old that's like, if you're seeing this right now, this is your sign. This is it. Even though that I don't believe is actually your sign. I think it's your sign to get off TikTok and go outside. But it's still popular in the mainstream zeitgeist, right? Of course, there's a scientific explanation too. The brain is a pattern-seeking machine. Once you notice a number, you'll filter the world to see it more often. Psychologists call this frequency illusion. There's also confirmation bias. We remember the hits, but forget the misses. If I see 444 3 times, it seems meant to be. But I didn't log all the 237s or 918s I saw throughout the day. But the mystics argue the opposite. Numbers aren't human inventions, they're the building blocks of reality itself. So Plato believed that numbers were permanent forms and they were more real than physical objects. The world is the shadows and the numbers are the truth. I actually like this kind of thinking because to me, it's like, it reminds me of, I used to be in tech, it reminds me of like code. Right? Like the numbers are the code, the zeros, the ones, the back end to the simulation. And I think that life could really work like that. I mean, think about DNA, think about all the encoded information that builds the reality that we experience. There's something there. Also, everybody talks about the Fibonacci sequence. You see that in like literally everything. I do think it's kind of strange that you see them in like pine cones and sunflowers and all this kind of stuff. What's with the numbers repeating everywhere? What is that? That is weird. Worth like being like, okay, what? The Fibonacci sequence shows up in sunflowers, pine cones, hurricanes, and galaxies. From this perspective, when you notice a number repeating in your life, it's not random. It means you're in sync with a larger pattern, one that's been written into nature from the beginning. So I will say, like seeing that extra 332 when I was coming home that day, it really like bookended the whole sequence. It made it feel like that actually like a message was being communicated with me, kind of like in the old timey, telegram, like that was like the signal, like the goodbye. I really felt like it was custom, and that's what sent me down this whole crazy rabbit hole. Whether you see this as psychology, mysticism, or a strange overlap of both, I know what I experienced. It felt real. It made me stop and pulled me out of autopilot. It made me notice. I don't know what this all means, but if I had to make a guess for this video to finish it somehow, I would say that I think that synchronicities aren't about the message. I think it's more about the awareness that you get, like that something's happening. I think like Ram Dass said, it's all just awareness. We're all just becoming. And I think that's more, it's like stop what you're doing and wake up. And that's what's really most important, is like living here in the now. Folks, in the comments, if you'd like to let me know what numbers have been showing up for you, that would be cool. And we could continue the conversation, and maybe we can do another coffee break where we go through some of those comments and have ourselves a good time. Thanks, folks, again for tuning into this week's episode of the Evening Goose. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into numerology and synchronicity. More fun stuff coming on the channel. I've been working hard on some more Getting Loose with the Goose AI read-throughs and kind of exploring some stuff that people emailed me about the AI topic. Also planning to do a follow-up soon on the Parsons Black Cube mystery. Going to dive deeper into that with Aleister Crowley and all those fun people soon. So stay tuned to the channel. Exciting stuff happening. Thanks for being along the ride for the evolution. And folks, we will see you next time. Stay freaky, my friends. Have a good weekend.